Welcome to Crochet for Beginners. This is lesson 1.1, and here we're going to cover the tools that you need just as you're getting started, and also how to hold your crochet hook. In this lesson, I'm going to cover a quick review of the tools that you need to start your first crochet project. At a bare minimum, you're going to need a hook, a yarn, and a pair of snips. But let's take a closer look at what we have here, because keeping a few extra tools nearby can be helpful, and you'll eventually need a few of these. Here in front of me, I have a variety of crochet hooks. And as you can see, they range in a variety of materials, including aluminum, rubber, and even plastic. These all do the same job, so you can use whatever you feel most comfortable holding. I prefer these brightly colored aluminum because I just can see them better. But whichever ones you choose, that will not affect the quality of your project. The first thing that you'll notice with a set of hooks is the variations in sizes that you can use. As you can see, we have these tiniest hooks to a nice fat hook for your project. Each hook is going to have a measurement in the form of a letter or a number. If you're in the UK, your hooks may have a letter. In the United States, it's more common for your hook to have a number assigned to it. And ironically, here we're using metric for this craft. So a standard set of hooks may be numbered from 2 to 10. This number represents the number of millimeters in the diameter of the shaft of your hook. So the measurement across the shaft in this example is 10 millimeters. And we know that because it says 10 on the metal hook. So what happens if you have a hook where you cannot read the size on the shaft, like this plastic one here? Now I could read this if I have to, but I just don't want to struggle. So I have a gauge ruler that will tell me much more easily than straining my eyes. Slide the bottom end of your hook into the gauge ruler, and whichever one it fits into the most snugly, this is the size of the hook that you're holding. Now this will not work if you slide this in on the hook end, and it will also not work if you have one of these big fat rubber handles, because we're literally measuring the size of the shaft. So this is a ruler that you can keep on hand if you need to find the right size hook. I also have some big fat darning needles, and these can be helpful for joining pieces, tying off the ends of a project, or hiding any end tails. We have a few pair of snippers to cut the yarns and the thread, and here I have a handful of stitch markers. These are colorful little markers to place in a stitch that you need to mark if you're counting a row, or if you need to come back and start a new stitch, or any changes where you just need to mark the place in your pattern. These are very helpful, and you can just also use safety pins if you really want to, but these little markers are soft and they're easier to see. Finally, I have a little zip bag that keeps everything together, and along with the yarn for your project, this is everything that you might use when you're working through your project. Selecting your hook. When you start your project, you have to select which size hook you'll be using. The size you choose is going to affect the size of your stitch, and that, in combination with the size of your yarn, is going to affect the size of your project. Typically, when you pick up a pattern, or if you're following some instructions that you find somewhere, you'll be told which size yarn and which size hook to use. If you're making clothing, for example a baby sweater, you'll be given a recommendation to use possibly a size 5 hook and a size 8 yarn for a 6-month sweater, and then maybe a size 6 hook for a 6 to 9 month sweater, and then maybe a size 7 hook and a larger yarn for a size 12 to 24 month sweater. These are typically disclosed in your instructions, and that's why you might choose a different size hook. The millimeter along this shaft is going to be the same size of the loop you make in a chain or a stitch, affecting the size of your project. Holding your hook. Your hook goes into your dominant hand. In my case, I'm left-handed, so I'll hold this in my left hand. There are 2 ways to hold your hook: a pencil hold like this, and a knife hold like this. Now these holds are exactly how they sound, and you can hold your hook in whatever way you feel most comfortable. I like to hold mine like a piece of silverware, but you might want to get comfortable in both ways if you can, because if you sit with a project for a really long time, you might start getting stiff. And by changing how you hold your hook, you can alleviate some of that just stiffness over time. Another thing is that when you are using these small to tiny hooks, if you get used to holding it like a pencil, you can bring those stitches closer to your eyes if you need to. This probably doesn't matter when you're really young, but if you're older like me, or if you wear glasses, you might find how you hold your hook is helpful to your vision. Now, we're ready to move on to the next lesson.